Maple Leafs facing challenges and exploring solutions in the market. Toronto Maple Leafs fans are living through a tense moment, and it's easy to understand why. As the team battles a wave of injuries, their Atlantic Division rivals continue to push forward in the playoff race. However, one thing remains certain: you can never doubt the fighting spirit of this historic franchise. Currently, the Leafs are dealing with a series of significant absences, the most impactful being Auston Matthews, who is sidelined with an upper body injury. Matthews, the offensive heartbeat of the team, is an irreplaceable loss, but he's not the only one causing concern. Max Pacioretty, another player who brought high expectations this season, is struggling with a muscle injury, leaving him out on a week-to-week basis. David Kampf, known for his defensive reliability, has also been added to the injured list, forcing head coach Sheldon Keefe to call up rookie Fraser Minten to fill the gaps. Kalle Jarnkrok, meanwhile, has yet to play a game this season. Reports suggest his recovery could extend until the trade deadline or even the playoffs. This combination of injuries highlights a troubling vulnerability for a team aiming to achieve the elusive Stanley Cup victory. Faced with this situation, the Leafs front office is on the move. Recently, team scouts were spotted at the matchup between the Columbus Blue Jackets and Boston Bruins, a game that drew scouts from 18 teams searching for market solutions. With the Bruins being a direct rival in the Atlantic Division, the Leafs' presence stood out, fueling speculation about potential trade targets. While defense and goaltending are not immediate concerns, the need for a quality center is evident. Without Matthews and Kampf, the middle of the ice has been left thin, forcing players like Pontus Holmberg to step into larger roles than anticipated. Adding a seasoned center to stabilize the roster could be crucial to keeping the team competitive until injured players return. In addition, secondary scoring is another critical issue. Players like Max Domi and Pontus Holmberg have yet to score this season, leaving the core four, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares, bearing too much of the offensive burden. For a team with such high aspirations, relying solely on its stars is unsustainable. Securing a player who can consistently contribute secondary offense could transform the team's dynamics. As the Leafs evaluate the market, speculation suggests that players on rebuilding teams like the Blue Jackets could be viable options. For example, Boone Jenner, a natural leader with two-way capabilities, or a playoff-tested player like Sean Kuraly, could fit Toronto's needs. From the Bruins, the situation is more complicated. Despite being direct rivals, players like Charlie Coyle or Trent Frederic could be intriguing targets if Boston looks to address other areas of its roster. However, making trades within the division is always a delicate challenge. The injuries have also placed the Leafs in a tight financial spot, but Kyle Dubas' management has shown creativity in navigating tough circumstances in the past. Moving contracts, including draft picks, or even prospects could be the key to securing reinforcements without jeopardizing the franchise's future. The constant presence of scouts at key games suggests moves might happen earlier than usual. The margin for error this season is slim, particularly in such a competitive division. If there's ever a time to be proactive, it's now. One thing is clear: Leafs fans are no strangers to ups and downs, but they remain loyal and hopeful. With Matthews on the road to recovery and potential reinforcements on the horizon, the hope that Toronto will continue its pursuit of glory remains strong. If history has taught us anything, it's that the Maple Leafs never stop fighting. The battle is far from over, and every move made now could define the season's destiny. Stay tuned, Leafs Nation, because Toronto always promises drama, excitement, and, just maybe, a happy ending. What comes next for the Maple Leafs? The challenges facing the Toronto Maple Leafs go beyond the injuries themselves. The team now finds itself in a precarious position in a tightly contested Atlantic Division, where every point matters. With the Florida Panthers, Boston Bruins, and Tampa Bay Lightning all maintaining strong starts, the Leafs must ensure they remain competitive despite their depleted roster. Failure to act swiftly could see them lose critical ground in the standings, a scenario that would put immense pressure on their core players when the playoffs approach. One of the most pressing issues for general manager Brad Treliving is determining how much to invest in short-term fixes versus long-term solutions. The Leafs' prospect pool, while promising, is not as deep as it once was, and moving future assets for immediate help must be carefully considered. Yet, with the clock ticking on players like John Tavares and William Nylander potentially reaching their prime, there's an argument to be made that now is the time to push all chips in. The trade market itself is another obstacle. With many teams reluctant to make significant moves this early in the season, finding the right deal may prove tricky. Teams like Columbus and Boston have intriguing assets, but whether they're willing to part with them, and at what cost, remains uncertain. It's not just about finding a good player, it's about finding the right fit for the Leafs' style of play, chemistry, and cap situation. For head coach Sheldon Keefe, the immediate challenge is to extract the most from the players currently available. That means relying on younger talent and depth players to step up. Fraser Minton, for example, has an opportunity to prove he belongs at the NHL level, while others like Nick Robertson and Pontus Holmberg need to find ways to contribute more consistently. Keefe's ability to adapt his systems and manage ice time effectively could make the difference between staying afloat or sinking during this difficult stretch. Meanwhile, the Leafs leadership group, including veterans like Morgan Rielly and John Tavares, must rally the locker room. In times of adversity, the team's culture is put to the test. Rielly, the longest-tenured Leaf, has often spoken about the pride and responsibility that comes with wearing the jersey. It's moments like these when that pride needs to shine through. Off the ice, fans in Toronto are keeping a close eye on developments. Social media has been buzzing with trade rumors and speculation about which players the Leafs might target. Some fans are advocating for bold moves, while others preach patience, emphasizing that the Leafs' current roster is strong enough to weather the storm if players step up. The debate underscores the passion and high expectations surrounding this team. One factor working in the Leafs' favor is the depth of experience within their leadership. Brad Treliving and his team have navigated challenging situations before. From his time in Calgary, Treliving has shown a willingness to make calculated risks, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him pull off a creative trade to address the Leafs' immediate needs. The upcoming schedule doesn't offer much respite, with a series of games against tough opponents. The Leafs will face the Lightning, Panthers, and Bruins over the next 2 weeks, a stretch that could define the early part of their season. A strong showing, even with a shorthanded lineup, would send a message to the rest of the league that this team can compete under any circumstances. Looking further ahead, the health of Auston Matthews remains the biggest X factor. While the team has been tight-lipped about his timeline, every fan knows that the Leafs' chances of playoff success hinge on their superstars' return to full form. Matthews is not just a goal scorer, he's a leader and a player who elevates those around him. His recovery will be a top priority for the Leafs' medical staff. Ultimately, the Maple Leafs find themselves at a crossroads. The next few weeks will test not only the depth of their roster but also the resolve of the organization as a whole. For Leafs Nation, there's hope that this adversity will serve as a catalyst for growth and resilience. After all, the best teams don't just survive tough times, they thrive because of them. As the saying goes, pressure creates diamonds. Will this season's challenges turn the Leafs into one of hockey's brightest? Only time will tell. The clock is ticking on key decisions. As the Maple Leafs navigate this challenging period, the spotlight also falls on how they will manage their cap space. With multiple players on injured reserve, there is temporary flexibility, but any significant acquisition will require a strategic approach to avoid long-term cap complications. Players like Kalle Jarnkrok and Max Pacioretty, who could return later in the season, will need their salaries accounted for, potentially limiting Toronto's ability to make bold moves without shedding contracts. These financial gymnastics will test the creativity of Brad Treliving and his staff.